Sandwalker recruits mocked the handless human girl, then trembled when she returned with the sword of judgment. They laughed as she bled on the black sands of Erid Prime. A single swing had severed her hand, an act of cruelty masked as training. Among elite alien recruits, the only human was discarded like faulty tech. They expected her to vanish into the desert and die. Instead, she vanished into legend. Just 49 hours later, Maia Ren returned, carrying a sword forged by something older than the Council itself. A blade that moved like it was alive. A blade that had chosen her. Iron Speech Bubble if you love stories where humanity doesn't just survive, but reshapes a galaxy. Subscribe now and give this video a like. Comment below, what would you do if the galaxy labeled you disposable? This isn't a revenge tale. It's about power, about restraint, about what happens when a forgotten girl becomes a key to judgment itself. As ships descend and secrets awaken beneath the Academy, Maia must decide. Will she become the weapon they try to create, or something far more dangerous? The answer will silence empires. And it begins in the kill yard. The Sandwalker Academy wasn't a place for weakness. Positioned at the edge of the galaxy, built into the volcanic cliffs of Erid Prime, it trained only the most ruthless species for frontline war zones. Among the alien cadets was Maia Ren, the only human in her cycle, a young woman with wide, observant eyes, a quiet strength, and a prosthetic left foot from a past no one dared ask about. She spoke rarely, watched always, and learned faster than anyone dared admit. The instructors didn't like her. Neither did the recruits. But they couldn't ignore her, so they waited for her to fail. On day 17 of the Gauntlet trials, failure came by force. The recruits were instructed to demonstrate live blade discipline in a simulated execution drill. Maia, calm and centered, refused to strike an unarmed creature, even if it was a synthetic drone. The others called her soft. One, a bronze-skinned insectoid named Varl, called her broken. Then, before the instructors intervened, he sliced through Maia's left wrist with his plasma-forged dagger, severing her hand in one clean arc. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stared at him, bleeding, shaking, stunned, and then collapsed. They laughed. All of them. The medics carried her out as if discarding scrap. No charges. No reprimands. They called it combat conditioning, and the Council upheld it. Maia was moved to Recovery Deck B7, a cold, sterile wing where wounded cadets usually vanish from records within weeks. Varl got a commendation. The others earned extra rations. That night, while the rest feasted, Maia lay awake, her stump bandaged and throbbing, a store behind her eyes. She didn't sleep. She listened. Beneath the metal floors, she heard humming, mechanical, rhythmic, ancient. There had always been rumors that beneath the Academy grounds lay relics of a war older than any recorded in the Galactic archive. That deep tunnel, sealed after the Sandwalker Rebellion, held remnants not of alien tech, but of something else. Something no one dared awaken. The instructors called them myths. Maia didn't. The next morning, Maia vanished. No alarms. No lockdowns. Her vitals disconnected from the central system without triggering alerts. No one searched. The staff assumed she'd limped into the desert to die like the failures before her. It was tradition. One less mouth to feed. One less liability. But Maia hadn't gone into the desert to die. She had followed the hum, past the recycling ducts, through forgotten corridors overrun by sand and rust, down into a chamber not registered on any map. There, she found carvings, glyphs pulsing faintly with energy, and a pedestal with a blade hovering above it, suspended by a field of blue light. The hilt moved when she approached. The hum matched her heartbeat. Her stump stopped hurting. The sword was ancient, too large for a frame, etched with symbols in no human language. Yet when she reached for it with her remaining hand, it didn't resist. It folded its grip around her wrist. Metal slithered, wrapped around her stump, not as a replacement, but as an extension, not a prosthetic, a bond. She stood in silence, felt its weight, then heard a whisper, not in her ears, but in her mind. "You lost your hand," it said, "so we gave you ours." Her eyes widened, but she didn't back away. She took one step forward. Then another. When she emerged from the tunnels, dawn was rising. The academy bell rang for training. But Maia didn't head for recovery. She walked toward the kill yard. The kill yard was a circular arena carved into the volcanic rock, where recruits tested combat prowess in front of instructors and visiting dignitaries. That morning it was packed. Varl was scheduled for a demonstration match, and the crowd buzzed with anticipation. He grinned as he sharpened his blade, preening under the praise of his squad. No one noticed the shadow at the top of the stairs. No one moved until a silence spread like cold smoke. Maia stood at the edge, dust-covered, scarred, holding a blade unlike anything ever seen on Erid Prime. The sword shimmered in shades not yet named. Varl squinted, then laughed. "You came to die twice, human?" he mocked, twirling his weapon. Maia didn't answer. She stepped forward. Her grip on the blade was unnatural, too fluid, too steady for someone with one hand. But it wasn't just steadiness. The sword moved with her, like it knew what she would do before she did it. As she walked toward him, Varl felt for the first time something crawling up his spine that wasn't fear of the sword, but the one wielding it. His smirk faltered. The crowd fell silent again. The instructors didn't interfere. It was a law of the pit. Any challenge issued in the kill yard was binding, and Varl had mocked her publicly. Maia stopped 5 paces away. Her eyes met his. "I'm not here for revenge," she said softly, and the sword hummed, glowing brighter. "I'm here for balance." Before he could respond, she moved, faster than any of them had seen her move, faster than she had ever moved during training. The blade struck, not flesh, but the metal of his weapon, shattering it in two. The echo rang through the arena like thunder. Varl stumbled back. His arm bled from the shards. "What is that thing?" he hissed. Maia raised a blade, which now pulsed with internal heat, its etching swirling like molten script. "A relic of war," she said. "And it chose me." The instructors stepped forward, alarmed. One tapped his comlink. Nothing. Maia's presence disrupted their systems. The sword was emitting low-frequency interference, and for the first time, the tech-dependent aliens of the Sandwalker command felt something primitive: vulnerability. One of the recruits, a tall reptilian named Kex, stepped between Maia and Varl. "He deserves it," he said, eyes locked on Maia's. "But that thing on your arm, it isn't from Earth, is it?" Maia lowered the sword slightly. "No," she answered. "But it answered something inside me, that was." Kex didn't move. He studied her face. Then, without a word, stepped aside. Others followed. The circle around Maia widened, not from fear, but reverence. She had changed, and so had they. The council's observation drone began to descend, scanning Maia's signature. It emitted a loud chime, then shut off midair and fell like dead metal. Maia didn't flinch. The instructors barked orders, but no one moved to follow them. Authority was cracking, right there in the kill yard. She walked past Varl, blade at her side. "You're not worth the cost," she whispered. That sentence hurt him more than any blade would have. The arena swallowed his silence. As she exited the pit, the sword retracted slightly, its edges folding inward, locking into a sleeker form along her arm. Maia looked at the twin moons rising above the arena walls. The blade had spoken again, not in words, but in direction. "Below," it urged. "Below is where the judgment rests." And Maia understood. This wasn't the final battle. It was only her proving. Back in her quarters, an encrypted message flickered onto her wall console, one she hadn't seen before. No sender, just a single symbol, the same one etched on the sword's hilt. She placed her hand over the glyph, and the wall opened. Inside, coordinates, a memory file, and a warning. The Empire buried more than relics. The sword pulsed once, as if in agreement. Maia closed her eyes, finally allowed herself to feel the gravity of what was coming. Maia followed the coordinates through restricted access corridors, bypassing biometric locks with ease. The sword seemed to interfere with their recognition systems, as if it had rewritten her genetic signature. The deeper she went, the older the facility became. Metal gave way to stone. Holograms flickered out. Gravity shifted subtly, as if she were no longer on the same axis as the station above. Finally, She reached a sealed hatch bearing the mark from the message. Her fingers trembled as she touched it. The door opened, not with hydraulics, but with silence, as if it had been waiting for her for centuries. Inside the vault, a dim blue glow emanated from a series of capsules embedded in the walls. Within them, creatures, half mechanical, half organic, floated in stasis. Each bore scars, cybernetic implants, and markings eerily similar to Maia's sword. A terminal flickered on, displaying a language she couldn't read, until the blade pulsed and the script reformed into English. Project Judgment. Human Integration Trials. Subject 027. Success. Maia's breath caught. Her own face stared back from a cryo record dated 123 years ago. This wasn't just a weapon. She was part of the weapon. The shock hit like a second amputation. Memories returned, not fully, but flashes. Cold steel tables, voices and languages she didn't understand, pain spliced with images of earth and flames. A war? An experiment? She staggered back, the sword vibrating violently, reacting to her distress. The chamber lights dimmed. Then another message blinked across the screen. Phase 2 commencing. External interface detected. A hiss echoed behind her. One of the capsules opened. Something inside was waking up. Maia turned, blade raised, but the figure that emerged wasn't hostile. It was her, a mirror image, older, with gray in her hair and eyes like iron. The woman smiled faintly. "It took you long enough," she said. "I've been waiting." Maia couldn't speak. The woman extended a hand, not to fight, but to connect. "You were never meant to die on Erid Prime. You were meant to choose. Now the judgment begins." Maia backed away. "Who are you?" Her voice was hoarse. "I'm who you become," the woman said, "if you choose war." The swords hummed deep and confused, split between its loyalty to the past and the pain of the present. The older Maia stepped back into shadow. "You've already passed the first test, Mercy. Now the galaxy will test whether you can hold power without letting it burn you." Then she vanished into the vault walls, leaving only her echo behind. Maia dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. Everything she believed, her humanity, her agency, fractured. But within the shatter, she found something stronger than clarity. Will. She gripped the sword tighter. Whatever she was, human, weapon, or relic, she would decide what that meant. Above her, the alarm klaxons of the academy wailed. Someone had triggered a full lockdown. She raced back through the tunnels. The corridors shook. The sword glowed brighter with each step, attuned to the chaos above. Maia burst into the upper halls to find cadets arming themselves. Holographic banners flickered red. External incursion detected. Outside the dome, starships hovered in formation, but they weren't enemy ships. They bore Earth insignia, an Earth fleet no one had seen in decades, and they were demanding Maia's surrender. At the command deck, instructors scrambled. "She activated the vault," one screamed. "They're responding to her signal." Maia stepped into the room, calm and armed. "Stand down," she said. "I didn't activate anything. I answered it." One of the officers reached for a blaster, but her blade moved first, cutting the weapon in two before it could clear its holster. "You can't contain what you don't understand," she warned. Then the screen lit up with a single phrase, "Judgment is near." The Earth Fleet's voice came through in fractured bursts, distorted by the interference still radiating from the sword. "Commander Ren, identify containment protocol, asset acquisition priority alpha." Maia stared at the screen. Commander? That wasn't her. But it was. The timeline, the cryo records, the older version of herself. It all pointed to a reality she was never told. She wasn't just a cadet who survived. She was a missing weapon Earth had long written off as classified failure. And now, they'd come to collect what they thought still belonged to them. Inside the command dome, tension split the air. Cadets looked from their instructors to Maia, unsure whom to obey. She didn't bark orders. She raised her sword, then lowered it. "I don't belong to either of you," she said. "Not Earth. Not the Council." One alien officer snarled. "You were grown in a lab, girl. You're not even real." Maia smiled coldly. Funny, you bled like I was. A murmur spread. Authority, once rooted in fear and hierarchy, now trembled before something ancient and human. The Earth Fleet issued an ultimatum. Maia must surrender, or they would bomb the Sandwalker installation and retrieve the interface unit from the wreckage. That term, interface unit, rattled Maia more than any weapon. It wasn't even about her. It was about what she connected. The sword, the vault, the judgment. Suddenly, she wasn't the target. She was the key. And the moment she realized it, her choice became a question. Destroy the key or use it? Maia walked to the central transmitter. Her fingers hovered over the console. Around her, cadets formed a circle, not to fight her, but to guard her. Keck stood at the front, weapon ready. "We're with you," he said. "Whatever you decide." The instructors were disarmed, literally and metaphorically. One tried to plead, but Maia shut off the console. "No transmissions," she said. "If Earth want a key, they'll have to knock on the door themselves." Then she turned to the window. The first cruiser began its descent. The blade vibrated, then extended, forming branching arcs of light that traced invisible circuits into the floor. Beneath the academy, the vault stirred. Maia felt it before she understood it. The sword wasn't just a weapon. It was a beacon, and now it was awake. Outside, lightning streaked across the twin moons. The ground trembled. Cadets panicked. "What did you do?" Keck shouted. Maia looked down at her hand. "I think I said yes." From beneath the kill yard, a column of black stone erupted, spiraling with ancient tech, glowing with red veins. It split open like a seed, and from within, a construct emerged. Humanoid, massive, fused with earth alloys and alien script. The judgment, not a machine, not a god, a verdict made manifest. Its eyes scanned the sky, then Maia. Bear confirmed. It spoke, voice like grinding steel. Protocol initiated. Begin trial. The Earth cruiser halted midair, system scrambled by the construct's emergence. Commanders inside shouted conflicting orders. Maia walked toward the judgment, sword in hand. "This trial, what is it?" she asked. The construct pointed to the recruits behind her. "To determine worthiness of command, through fire, betrayal, and revelation." Maia froze. This wasn't just about her past. It was about everyone here, every recruit, every species, every system. The judgment wasn't vengeance. It was a crucible. Keck stepped forward. "We'll fight." Maia shook her head. "Not with weapons." She turned to her fellow cadets. "We've all been broken by systems. Earth's, the councils. This is our chance to show we can choose another way." The construct knelt. "Begin," then vanished in a pulse of light, leaving only the blade, now fused fully with Maia's arm, and the trial about to begin. The judgment began without warning. One by one, each cadet was isolated in chambers of light, Maia included. Her body dissolved into particles, reformed in a simulation space unlike anything she'd seen. It wasn't virtual. It was memory. Her earliest memory. The lab. Cold. White. The moment she screamed as the needle entered her skull. She hadn't remembered that moment in years. Now she relived it. And worse, she saw herself from above, from the surgeon's eyes, calm and unbothered, like she was just a tool. Her stomach turned, rage bubbling beneath her skin. She moved to another scene, earth burning, buildings crumbling, oceans boiling. Not a dream, a projection. The future, if she chose to obey. The sword appeared beside her, hovering. "They will rebuild the systems that broke you," it said, "unless you break them first." Maia fell to her knees. "Why me?" she asked. The answer echoed cold. "Because you survived." But survival wasn't enough. Not now. Her survival had to mean something, or this pain, this power would consume her. Suddenly, she saw Kex, bleeding, cornered by shadowed figures in his own chamber. They weren't real, but he didn't know that. She pounded on the walls, screamed for the trial to stop. Nothing responded. The sword remained silent. Her chamber changed again. This time, Varl. He knelt, bound, tortured by voices of every recruit he'd hurt. One begged for mercy. Maia reached out, but her hand passed through like smoke. The trial wasn't testing her strength. It was testing her judgment. Then she saw herself, older again, not the version from the vault, but one on a throne, surrounded by soldiers, earth banners behind her, eyes cold, mouth silent, the sword, larger now, fused into her spine. She commanded fear. Maia gasped, "That's not me." But the chamber asked, "If given power and obedience, will you become her?" Maia hesitated. Her hand trembled. Was she already on that path? Suddenly, her trial chamber cracked. Light bled in from outside. A voice called out, Kex's voice. "Maia, fight it." That moment broke the loop. Maia stood, fury replaced by clarity. "I won't be your weapon," she told the sword. "Not Earth's, not the Council's, not even yours." The blade dimmed, then flared again, not in resistance, but in acknowledgement. The trial ended with a pulse that shattered all chambers. The recruits reformed on the surface, dazed, gasping, but alive. The judgment stood once more. "Verdict pending," it said. "Final test, leadership." A platform emerged beneath Maia's feet, raising her above the others. The sword retracted fully into her arm. The construct turned its gaze to the sky. Earth's fleet was preparing to strike, misinterpreting the energy as an attack. Maia had minutes. "You must command," the judgment said, "not power. Choice." Her voice would decide if war began. Maia opened to calm her face, appeared on every screen. "I'm not your weapon," she said to Earth, "and I won't let you turn this place into rubble. We are not property. We are legacy, and I'm choosing to rewrite it." The cruisers paused, their weapons still glowing. Then one of them launched a warning shot, just a flash across the sky. "A threat. Choose, Maia," the construct said. "Strike first or risk being erased." She turned to the recruits, to the instructors, to Kex, and then to the sword. "No," she said. "I will not strike. I will stand." The sword glowed and then dimmed. Verdict accepted. The construct said, "Judgment complete." But before anyone could breathe, a secondary explosion erupted from beneath the academy. A hidden core, a fail-safe planted by the council long ago. The real judgment had only just begun. The academy shook as fire erupted from its foundations. Not a weapon fired by Earth, but an ancient ignition sequence triggered by the vault itself. Maia was thrown to the ground as stone and steel cracked apart. The construct didn't move. It stared into the blaze. "Fail-safe breach detected," it said calmly. "Origin, Council Layer Delta. Verdict compromised." Maia struggled to rise, shielding her eyes from the ash. "What does that mean?" The construct turned slowly. "The Council never intended for you to survive. Their judgment was execution." Maia's breath caught. All this time, she thought the sword was the key. But the true weapon had always been the vault. She wasn't its wielder. She was its test subject, its detonator. If she had chosen to strike Earth, the system would have handed her full control. But by choosing restraint, she had unknowingly broken the intended protocol and awakened the vault's true form. The platform below her split open. Dozens of constructs emerged, each radiating red light. "Trial phase overridden," they chanted. "Commencing purge." Kex screamed for the recruits to scatter. Cadets ran as plasma beams tore through the walls. Maia stood frozen, betrayed again, but by the very foundation that had lifted her up, the sword pulsed. "You must sever the circuit," it said. "You are the only fixed point." She understood instantly. The vault recognized her DNA as the origin of the interface. As long as she lived, the judgment cycle would continue, across systems, across species, across time. She wasn't a leader. She was a loop. Maia stumbled through the wreckage. The first construct approached a group of injured cadets. She raised her blade and struck, severing its core. But more came. She couldn't stop them all. The sword heated with each swing, burning her arm. "You were never meant to win this," it told her. "Only to stop it." That word echoed. Stop, not defeat, not conquer. And Maia looked to the sky. Earth's fleet had seen the explosion. They began to retreat. It was now or never. She ran back toward the vault's heart, dodging fire and collapsing corridors. The judgment followed her, no longer as trial master, but as executioner. You were offered mercy. It boomed. You declined power. Now, you must bear consequence. Maia reached the chamber where the sword first chose her. The pedestal still glowed. Place it back, the voice whispered. Reset the sequence. You will not survive. She closed her eyes. Then make it count. She placed the sword into the pedestal. Instantly, energy surged through her body. Her memories, her pain, her growth, all flooded into the vault's core like data into a dying star. Constructs froze mid-step. A blinding light swallowed everything. Then silence. Outside, the cadets shielded their eyes as the academy was consumed by a dome of white-blue flame and then fell quiet. Only the wind over ash remained. From orbit, Earth's command flagged the planet as restricted. No life signs registered. They assumed the girl had perished with the alien technology. Council transmissions went dark. Across the galaxy, something changed, not visibly, but subtly. A calm, a pause, as if war itself held its breath. In the ruins of the vault, one thing survived, a seed, not of metal, not of fire, but of choice, buried where Maia fell. Months later, a young Sandwalker recruit returned to the site, drawn by dreams he couldn't explain. He found the pedestal, and at its base a fragment of the sword, pulsing softly, waiting. The academy was gone. No alarms, no distress calls, just absence. A crater where ambition once stood. Earth marked it a black zone. The council pretended it never existed, but rumors spread among smugglers and desert monks. Tales grew of a human who stopped judgment itself. Some said she had become part of the vault, her soul woven into alien circuits. Others said she was reborn, somewhere else, with no memory, waiting. None of them really knew, but all feared the possibility that Maia Ren was still watching. Keck survived. Barely. Half his squad didn't. He never forgot the moment the vault lit up and everything around him went still. When the fire cleared, he crawled from the wreckage with a single thought. She chose us over herself. That stayed with him. He left the Sandwalker program, wandered the edge of the galaxy, and began teaching recruits how to fight without losing who they were. Every lesson started with her story. No rank, no medals, just the girl who chose not to strike. In a hidden system beyond the rim, a new symbol began appearing, spray-painted on hangar walls, etched into scrap, woven into cloth. Maia's glyph. It wasn't about rebellion. It was about decision. The right to say no. The strength to not retaliate. The galaxy had been shaped for millennia by escalation. Maia introduced hesitation. And in that pause, people began to imagine something they hadn't in generations. Peace. The council fractured from within. Without the vault as leverage, their alliances weakened. Some factions tried to recreate it, but none of the new hosts responded. The AI wouldn't bind to anyone else. Its silence was total, like mourning. Earth, on the other hand, tripled down on research. They classified Maia as an event catalyst, then buried her file under layers of protocol. But even inside Earth's ranks, whispers remained. A legend born from failure, a weapon that refused to fire. Somewhere far from all of it, a boy woke up screaming, not from pain, from memory, of someone else's battle, a burning academy, a sword calling his name. His parents tried to calm him, but the mark on his wrist, one he never had before, glowed faintly. He felt drawn to something he couldn't name, and when he slept again, he dreamed of a sword buried in ash, waiting. Time passed. Erid Prime became a forbidden zone, but the radiation faded. The sand cooled. One day, a team of archivists in mech suits landed in secret. In the center of the crater, they found something impossible. Life. A flower, blooming from metallic soil, pulsing faintly with bioluminescence. Near it, a piece of metal shaped like a broken hilt. They didn't touch it. They recorded the readings. But no one spoke. They left it undisturbed. The report was marked anomaly. The file was lost 2 weeks later. And so, the galaxy moved on, but not entirely. Because Maia Ren had done something no warrior, no council, no fleet ever had. She ended the cycle, not with fire, with choice. Her story was buried, distorted, erased by those who feared it. But the symbol remained, and in small pockets it spread, carved into blades, worn on jackets, whispered between rebels and dreamers alike. The right to refuse the system. In the end, the sword didn't save her. She saved the sword from itself. She taught it something no AI had ever learned, that not all power must be used, that sometimes restraint rewrites the ending. Maia Ren didn't become a legend because she fought. She became one because she stopped, and somewhere, buried in circuits and soil, that decision still pulses, waiting for someone else brave enough to choose silence over thunder. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable sci-fi journeys. Leave a comment. Would you have made the same choice as Maia? And if you believe stories like these deserve to be told, consider becoming a channel member to support us. More tales of power, rebellion, and sacrifice are on the way. Don't miss the next revelation.